Well, today's a good day for a members only vlog, I think, because I have two very big jobs to get done today. The first is to keep the van in the sun all day long. I've got great sun here today, supposed to be the same tomorrow. Need to get my battery back up, topped up. The battery's been scarily low. Hasn't dipped too far low, but I mean, without having good sunshine for several days in a row, it does make me a little bit nervous. So to try to help with that, I'm going to keep the van in the sun all day, but I have the third solar panel I have. So this is a foldable solar panel that UPEZ sent me, and I have a little way of attaching it into my main power source. So I have it hooked up into and tied into the same panel up here. So it's going into that charge controller, just adding a little bit of extra power. I'm not very fond of these solar panels, these flexible solar panels. They provide a fraction of the power of a glass panel. So I don't use this very often, but drastic times call for drastic measures. So I've got this out, and I'm just going to utilize it because I'm going to be parked for a little while because of the other job I've got today. You might know where I'm going with this. So the other job I have today is trying to get this brand new but broken heater fixed. It needs a part, a very inexpensive and easy to replace part. Well, I thought it was going to be easy to replace. There's a little, I should have opened this up before I start so I could show you where it is, but there's a little over temperature switch that goes bad on these cheaper diesel heaters, which is what this is. I shouldn't assume that you know what I'm talking about, should I? This is a diesel air heater, and it is one of the better brands, but because all the parts that they're made up of are just very, very cheap. You know, they build these to a price, and so they do have some issues. So the one issue that I have is that little over temperature switch, and it sits right here, and I was thinking I would be able to replace it rather easily, but I found out that I have to uninstall this whole thing because that little over temperature switch sits under a little plastic shroud of that you see. This is just a beauty shroud, basically. Well, I guess it's kind of, the shroud also does help with blowing air because there's a fan in here, so I guess maybe it serves two purposes. But anyway, so I have to uninstall this to get to that little part, and when I'm talking about a little part, that part is like $4. So I've got the part on hand. I'm gonna pull this out, replace the part, and see if that fixes the problem. Since I was ordering parts anyway, I did order a new fuel pump, and I did already replace that because that is up here in my box. So I do have a new fuel pump, and I don't know if that was really necessary, but it does seem like that's usually the first thing that goes out, so I figured I'd just do that now. I think the pump that I ordered and I have replaced now is supposedly a better quality pump. At least that's what I'm hoping. So that's why I just went ahead and replaced it. It was less than $20, but from reading around, it seems like they hold up a little bit better than the pump that came with the kit, with the heater kit. So since I was able to do that in the rain, I did that already. Now we have a nice sunny day, so I need to get to uninstalling this, which means I got to crawl under the van and undo all the bits and bobs that not only hold the heater in place, but are connected to the exhaust and intake pipes. So this will be a little bit annoying for me, but I thought, I'll just show you little bits of it as I do it today. I've already had my coffee. I think I'm going to eat a little yogurt before I start because I didn't eat any breakfast. This is kind of secondary to what I want to do today. The first thing I want to do is just get this sun on my solar panels and get my battery charged up. One thing that I have figured out about this heater is it uses a lot more power than I was anticipating. Everybody says that, oh, they use very little power and that, you could run them forever on very little power. This uses a ton of power, just an absolute ton of power, and it's surprising how much power it uses. It uses so much power that I can't actually run it off of my UPEZ 1200 watt power supply. If you've seen that power supply that I have, it's a fairly beefy power supply. It has almost as much power as my house battery system. So it's got me wondering if there's an issue with the UPEZ power supply, or if maybe there's another issue going on with this heater. So I need to get that part replaced and see if that solves the problem. This was always an issue, of course. This was always going to be a possible issue, I should say. If you look around at the people that have installed lots of these, they say that some of these are just bad, and you just buy another one because that's just the way it goes. So I don't want to think about buying another one, although I have already looked at sourcing another heater, and just if this one gives me too much trouble, I've already have been looking into which direction I'll go to replace it. Rather not go and do that. It seems a bit drastic. So we'll fix this here today while we are enjoying the sunshine and getting the battery topped back up. Because after tomorrow, I think we're supposed to have lots and lots of sun today, and then after tomorrow, which should be about the same weather-wise, we're going to have several days of rain and dark. So this is living life on solar power. You got to charge up your battery when you have it, because you never know when you're going to have power and when you're not. So this will be a fun day. I'm here at Home Depot in case I need supplies, which I don't think I should need anything. I just need to get my tools out. So I'll show you little bits of it as we go. Okay, so just a mere 10 minutes later, that didn't go nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. When I put this down, I stuck this in place not only with screws through the holding bracket here, but I used a bunch of high temperature silicone RTV as a seal, because the van floor is not level. There's these undulations here, and so I needed to make up the gap a little bit to make sure that it was totally sealed. I don't want there to be any gases coming up in, obviously, which I don't think that's going to be the case as long as the hoses are on tight. So, that's kind of a minor thing to worry about. But what's a bigger thing to worry about is just allowing mice or insects or something to crawl in the hole that goes through the floor. So yeah, so this actually worked. I did have to pry it apart a little bit, and I used my trusty old painter's tool. I've had this for, I think, about 30 years. This thing has been really useful all that time. Even though I very rarely paint anymore, this thing is really useful for just all kinds of stuff. So this helped me pry the RTV loose off of the floor. So now I'll get to replacing that one tiny little part. Okay, this is going to look a little messy from your perspective, but there's the new part installed. It's this thing here. It just wires around into the little board here, and this is the old parts. The wires on the old parts are definitely undersized, so I wonder if that's the issue going on. The new part definitely looks better. It's much better made. It's sealed with some heat shrink here, where this one is not. The wire itself is a lot heavier duty. And there's some differences with the connection here as well. So hopefully everything is correct and this part is the only bad part. We shall see. The one thing I'm thinking of right now is if I had a shop where I could hook this up and test it before I reinstall it, it would be ideal, because I do kind of wonder if there's something else going on. But I don't really have that ability, so I'm going to have to reinstall it and hope that everything is good. I think I'll test it actually before I let the new silicone seal up, because that was the hardest part of this, is just dealing with that old RTV silicone. It's really sticky stuff. But anyway, that way I think I'll just test it out for just a few minutes before the new silicone is sealed up, and that way if I've got to yank this back out, it won't be quite so difficult. That's all I can do. I was just checking my app for my solar controller, and I'm already pulling in more power today in just a couple of hours than I have all day yesterday, which is kind of crazy. A little bit of sun is good, so it should be a good day today. I don't think I'll get the battery fully charged up today, but probably by the end of tomorrow it'll be fully charged, and then I'll have 4 days of not having to worry about power at all, and then it'll be back to this again, where I'm kind of wondering when the sun will shine again. It's not a terrible thing, it just is what it is. All right, back to it here. I was just thinking, before I get this thing put away, I just want to show you one thing that I don't like about these less expensive diesel heaters, and that is that they are not sealed completely to the elements, and it's one of the big reasons that I don't really like these compared to the top three brands of diesel heaters. So that would be Webasto, Eberspacher, and Planar. The Planars are the ones I like the best personally. But yeah, these, if you look at these, the board is open to the elements. They've done a little bit of sealing on this one, because this one is a little bit better quality. This brand is a little bit better quality, even though it is built down to a price. So there's some tiny little attempts of sealing it off to the weather here and there, but so it's slightly better than some of these that are sold, but it's still, there's still a lot of just open parts to the elements here, and that is going to affect long-term usage on these, and that's just the thing with these. That's what you get. You know, if you're going to buy a $150 heater versus a $900 Planar, or a $1,500 Eberspacher, or a $2,000 Webasto, that's one of the biggest differences. And I think for people that spend most of their time in the desert, this is less of an issue. But if you are going to be, say, coastal bound, like I am, you're constantly around salty air, this is not such a great thing, and this will definitely reduce the lifespan of these things. So just thought it was a good time to show you this. Now getting back to putting this back in, which should be just a couple of minute job, I think. Okay, I've got it all back in place. We're all buttoned up, and I've got the heater turned on, and it's just gone through its warm-up cycle. So when you first turn these things on, I didn't actually know this about these, but when you first turn them on, they run for the first few minutes on high, and then once the glow plug and all of the internals are at their highest operating temperature, it will settle back down to whatever you set the control on, and I think it does that whether you're running it the way I run it, which is I just set it at a certain speed. Mine has 6 speeds, and so I generally run it at speed 3, just because it's right in the middle. And it seems to work the best for the space in the van. Right now, though, I have it blowing the heat out of the van instead of in the van because it's a nice day out, so I don't need to warm up the van at all. I am getting just a few little puffs of smoke, which is not a good sign. So there might still be something else wrong. I'm going to let it run, and generally it has to run for a few more minutes before the symptom will rear its ugly head. So we'll just let that run, and I've got a couple other things to do. Actually, I should make some food now and some coffee. Need to make some coffee. Just let it go, see what happens. Of course, when I get the camera down here to show you the puffs of smoke, it doesn't smoke anymore. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? Don't know. Well, that didn't take very long. Didn't even hardly get back in the van, haven't gotten food going yet, and it's already shut itself down. It's displaying its over temperature code again. When I was talking about that code on one of the videos before, one of you looked up and said that that code meant something different than what the company says it means. So apparently it's showing an E8 code, and apparently online, and I looked this up, E8 means it's not getting enough fuel, so it's a fuel issue. But the company, and I have the handbook back here, they're saying that it's an over temperature code, and they were saying it's either a wiring issue or that part that I just replaced. So I was taking the company at their word because they're the ones that make this heater, but it is a little odd to me that the codes are different. So I'm not saying you're not right that this isn't a fuel issue, but it's clearly getting fuel. In fact, I've put a new fuel pump in too. Not that I was thinking the fuel pump had any issue at all, but didn't seem to help so far. I'm going to wait till it does its full cool down cycle, and then I'm going to turn it on again and see if it'll run again. Usually when it does this, I just turn it on and it runs again, and sometimes it'll run for quite a while before that code pops up again and it shuts itself down. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll just continue on making lunch, and now comes the point where I need to decide what I want to do with this. And I've talked before about how I just don't like fiddling with things, so I'm tempted to just call it quits on this heater and just buy another one, order another one. That was always going to be an option that I was going to have to follow up on, right? That's the thing with these, is that there's always an option, a pretty good option, that you're going to wind up with one that's bad. The thing that I don't like is that who says that the next one I order is going to be good or bad? And I've read several and saw several videos of people saying, yeah, it took me 2 or 3 or 4 times before I got a good one, but I'm still farther ahead because look, they're only $100 a piece. Now, I bought one that was more than $100, but that kind of adds quickly to the price of just throwing money at this issue, where I really need to decide, should I just buy a little better quality one? I should point out though that I am using my Olympian Wave 3. You can't see that. Here it is. So I am using my Olympian Wave 3. It has a slight issue, but it works great even with the slight issue, and it's been a champ, especially when I was sick the last few days. Well, it's been a few days since I've been sick, but when I was sick, and that thing was just clutch. I still have, even running it several hours, I still have several days of propane left for it. So there's the other part of me thinking maybe I should just maybe I should buy another Wave 3 or something similar and not worry about this diesel heater thing. Lots to think about, but first, lunch and coffee.
Overwhelming a little bit at first when you first start using it, just because there's so much you can do.
Okay, good news, everyone. I have been running the heater for about 45 minutes or so, maybe a little longer, maybe about an hour. I kind of lost track of time, and no trouble whatsoever. It's been working just fine. So, dare I say it's fixed. I forgot to purge the fuel line when I started up the first time, so I think there may have been an air bubble in the fuel line which caused it to shut down the first time. That's what I think. So once I got it fired up the second time, no trouble whatsoever. So I just shut it off, so it's going through its cool down period here, and hopefully that's it. Hopefully I can start using it now. That's a good result. I really didn't want to have to buy a second one of these because if you didn't see the other videos where I was talking about this is a backup heater. I really like my Wave 3. The Wave 3 is not going anywhere. It works so well and it uses no electricity at all. I still have some concerns about this one because it uses a shocking amount of electricity. So one of the reasons I've shut it off now is the other thing that I needed to get done today was to get my battery charged up, and that can't happen while this is running. So while we still have some sunlight left, I'm just gonna turn the heater off so that all the power that I can possibly get can go to charging the battery up for the rest of the day. And then I'm gonna do the same thing tomorrow. Just park the van in the sun, keep the van in the sun for as long as I can tomorrow. Try to get that battery back up to charged fully. So all good news, you know. Everything's looking good. So got a couple little things I need to finish up, some cleaning I need to do. So I'll get to that. And yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how the day went so far. So I think I'll end this here because it's probably going to be a long one already, and you know, you probably heard me prattle on long enough. So thanks for watching, everybody. I do really appreciate you. I know I don't say it very often, but I do really appreciate all of you that support the channel. Without you, I would not be able to keep making YouTube videos, so it means a lot to me, and so I don't know how else to repay you other than to just give you some other kind of behind-the-scenes content. The heater thing is a real behind-the-scenes content because I'm not even sure I'm going to make a video and to talk about putting the heater in. I don't want to go through all the oh, you should have did this, you should have bought that, you should have, you know, you do this, do that. I don't want to hear it, you know. So I know I don't get all of that with you, and so I don't mind giving all of you guys the nitty-gritty backstory stuff. So yeah, hopefully you found this mildly entertaining, and I'll try to keep this up. Thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate it.